I would like to see Traverse City to be known as the arts capital of the state, and not just with film, but the area already attracts a number of artists, writers, musicians. You know, there's thriving scenes in each of these areas here, and because the quality of life is better than it is in other parts of the state, you know, it has attracted a lot of people. And when the artists come, then the people with ideas come, because the people with ideas want to be around the creative people, because it's a creative process. And when the creative idea people come and they start inventing, that's when you get your next century's worth of Thomas Edison, who grew up in Port Huron, and Henry Ford from Dearborn.
But what's it going to take to do that?
You're going to
this arts capital of the state.
It's going to have to. The political leadership of this town has to be committed to making this area as inviting as possible for people who are the creative cultural class. If they do that, and one of the ways that they have to do that is, for instance, that this town, this area has to be wired for the 21st century. There's no getting around that. I'm sorry I keep coming back to it, but there's no way of getting around it if you don't have it. Number two, this community has to stop rolling up the sidewalks. Young people are not going to stay here if there is not a nightlife, if there's not a thriving something to do life here in this area, and you know that's going to happen. I went into the office on yesterday, the day after New Year's. It was a Sunday, and the store downstairs was open, and I was like, it was like a bit of a shock. Haystacks. I'm thinking, oh man, okay, those are smart people. Now, could this please just sort of have a ripple effect through town here? Because you know, people will stay here longer if there's something to do. I said this to the city commission last year. You have to understand the concept of vacation now. It's not the old school way of where people take vacation and then just forget about work for 2 weeks. Because of the laptop, because of high tech, you know, we're kind of tethered a bit to what we do. If people feel like they can still communicate with the office, get some things done, because they have high-speed internet connection here, they will stay here those few extra days or a week, because they know that that their business won't suffer in Chicago or Detroit or wherever they came up from. And every day they stay here, I'm sure you can do whatever studies they have here can prove how many dollars are spent every day somebody decides to stay here an extra day. Now, turn that into thousands of people doing that, because or if they've got teenagers or preteens, tell those kids that they can't be on Facebook for 2 weeks, or that they can't communicate with their friends. You know, if you're a parent, you're kind of like, okay, look, you're going to do it for this long, but you can only tolerate that for so long, and you lose the tug of war a bit, because they've got it. Well, but if they can be connected, if they can be wired in to their group, wherever that group is, then you've got all of that helps to build for, you know, helping tourism in this area stay strong, and have it be a welcoming place. But yes, to answer your question about yes, there could be a film studio here. There could be a film school here. If I can wave a magic wand, I would go to the people that own the old Chase bank building there, sort of across from the State Theater, and ask them to give it to the community for $1. And I would open up. I would get the early motion going of starting a film or some kind of arts center in that building, a film school, whatever. I think something like that needs to happen, and you need to. And I've said this before. This needs to start feeling like a college town, and it doesn't feel like that. And if NMC can't make it happen so that that's a 4-year college, then I'd like to pose the question to the state legislature and to the governor and to the boards of education of these universities. Explain to me again, why is it that of our 3 main universities, the University of Michigan, Michigan State University, and Wayne State, that there are no satellite campuses or branches of those universities, not one of them that's north of Flint, that the state ends at Flint, where U of M Flint is? And then why is it that our largest university, Michigan State, has no satellite campus? You go to Wisconsin, there's UW in Eau Claire, there's UW in Appleton, there's UW in Green Bay, there's UW throughout the state. You go to California, there's UC, not only Berkeley, but there's UC Davis, there's UC Riverside, there's UC up and down the state. There's UC SUNY schools in New York. You know, you go to these areas. You go to the University of Illinois. There's a UI in Chicago. There's a UI. What's the reason here that we can't do that? Why isn't there an MSU TC?